Horizon Zero Dawn is a 2017 PlayStation exclusive that was met with relatively positive reviews and is a must-have for any PlayStation 4 owner. Today, I'll be sharing my personal opinions on the game. Alright, let's start off with the basics. Horizon follows the story of a young woman named Aloy, who is living on a futuristic Earth infected with hostile machines. The story is pretty complex, so I won't go super deep into it, but pretty much Aloy is an outcast of society, for she never had a mother growing up. She strives to be accepted by society and discover the secrets of her past, which eventually evolves into something bigger. The story, in my opinion, was pretty great, with lots of interesting concepts. Characters were a bit of a letdown, as I never really felt compelled to care about anyone, even Aloy. That, paired with the really awful facial animation, added up to some disappointing characters. While I did just say that the facial animation was awful, the rest of the game looks fantastic. The overworld is honestly one of the most beautiful open world locations I got to explore in a long time. Half the time I would just stop and take in everything around me. Everything looks very realistic, including the enemies. The overworld does look great, and it's also pretty full of stuff to do. You have your main settlements with side quests, merchants, etc. But all around the world there's stuff to do as well. Majority of it is just taking down the machines, but that is the main draw of the game. Other things to do include taking down bandit camps, exploring ancient bunkers, collecting resources, or climbing tall necks, which are similar to Chica Towers in Breath of the Wild. As you can probably tell by now, this game is packed full of content. I've put around 50 hours in, and I'm not even close to being done all the post-game stuff, that is, including the Frozen Wilds DLC. While there really is no new goal after you beat the gameplay kept me motivated to keep on doing different quests and just hunting down robots in the first place. Like many open world games, the side quests are usually very repetitive and similar, but sometimes you'll find one or two that are a bit more interesting. Now, let's get to the big one, the combat. If I had to say one area where the game shines, it's for sure the gameplay. As I already said, your main enemy is these giant robotic dinosaur-like creatures, but there are a few places where you have to take down regular humans, mainly just in the main story though. Humans get very predictable and easy to kill by the late game, but the robots always stay fun. There are about 25 different species of machines, and each one is very unique. All of them have a special way to take them down, like a weak point or special strategy. At the beginning, some of the robots are insanely hard, but by the end, most robots are either kinda easy or a good challenge, although some are very easy once you know their weakness, and others are always just super hard. Aloy is also well equipped, with many different weapons to choose from, the bow being the central weapon. There's also giant slingshots, spears, tripwires, traps, and tons more. They're all so satisfying. Combat is fast-paced and very smooth. Every weapon is a blast to use, and ammo is never too scarce, so you have to conserve it. I mean, you can literally use a machine gun to obliterate absolutely everything. It's honestly like the funnest thing in the world, and kinda broken. The machine gun is very overpowered, but the game does a good job at not making anything insanely better than the rest. Sure, the machine gun is great, but you don't get it very often, and there's a limited amount of ammo. Whatever weapon is the best is up to you, which leads me into my next point, customization. This game is full of it. Weapons and armor are the two main ones that can be changed around. Each weapon has a different rarity, you could say, and the rarer it is, the better. Within that, each weapon also has custom bonuses you can add on that you collect around the world. Some give you more damage, more range, and more pretty much everything. Same goes for armor. Each set of armor has custom bonuses as well, like defense up, or certain defense against a certain type of attack. It works great for the weapons and allows you to choose which weapon you want to play with the most. For armor, it's not so great. I said that no weapon is the best in the game, but armor is the complete opposite. One set of armor is clearly the best. There's really no competition. It is kinda hard to get, but really not as hard as it should be. Aloy also has a skill tree that allows for new moves to be unlocked as you progress doing side and main quests. It's a cool idea that just adds another goal to work towards. Going back to the topic of robots, they are a really creative idea. Some of them do seem a little lacking compared to others, but those are mainly the early game ones that mostly appear during the beginning. The AI isn't insanely smart or anything, but it's not stupid either. Going into tall grass to hide won't work if the enemy already sees you. While we're on the topic of tall grass, I should probably talk about the other ways to take down the machines. As we already went over, the most fun way to take them down is definitely going in guns blazing, but there's other options too. Stealth kills are great for picking off small robots, and they don't kill anyone if it's too big, so you can't just cheese everything. You can also override robots and have them fight for you. While most fight, some can also be ridden around the world to quickly get around. Anyways, everyone seems to really like this aspect, but I honestly never found myself using it. I always preferred to do the fighting myself, unless it was an overwhelming group of robots, in which case overriding is pretty nice. Another mechanic that this game implemented is a rather simple crafting system. Resources can be collected around the world by hunting, just collecting plants, or from your enemies when you take them down. The system was rather basic, but it made sure that you never ran out of ammo, at least for the bow. Pretty much the only other thing you can craft was potions, which if you're like me, you'll never use unless you're about to die. And the rest of the resources can just be sold for money. While this isn't really important, I want to quickly touch on one thing that really annoyed me: fast traveling. Fires are placed around the world that can be traveled to, but only if you have a fast travel pack, which you find semi-often. Fast traveling always seems to be a controversial topic in games, but I think this was a really good concept. You can't fast travel literally everywhere, like for example Assassin's Creed Black Flag, but it's still a quicker option than if you really need it. It's nice to have, and pain-free, unlike God of War's painful fast travel time. But instead of sticking with this, they decided to make the Golden Fast Travel Pack that gets rid of all of this and lets you fast travel an infinite amount of times. They had it just right, and they had to ruin it with that. Anyways, let's get on to the final point. The difficulty in this game is a bit odd. This late in the game, not many enemies give me a hard time except for the really giant ones. But at the beginning, it was very annoying to have some robots literally impossible and your only option is to run away. After you find out the best way to kill a robot, sometimes it becomes as easy as just shooting a single arrow. I think that difficulty could have used a bit of tweaking, but for the most part, I really didn't mind it. In the end, Horizon Zero Dawn does end up a very big blast to play. While the story is a great concept, it has bad animation and lacking characters, but the world and combat help to make this one heck of a game. While I don't like to admit it, this game is kinda what I was looking for in Breath of the Wild. It honestly reminds me of Breath of the Wild quite a bit. I'm not saying it's better, as Breath of the Wild is really a near perfect game, but it does come close. If you like Breath of the Wild, you'll really love this game. I would give Horizon Zero Dawn an A-. Well, thanks to all of you for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and make sure to go check out a few other game reviews on my channel. See you all later. Bye.